Well, the city of Chicago hit hard by gun violence over the weekend in July 4th, with reports saying as many as 80 people were shot, almost a dozen dead. My next guest writing a column Monday where he said, quote, "Liberal progressives will use any gun violence to further their anti-gun agenda. However, when it's in their backyard, they are amazingly silent." Lieutenant Colonel Allen West is a Fox News contributor and former Florida congressman. Sir, good to see you tonight. And so why do you think that is? I mean, what would be the reason that there wouldn't be more outrage over this?
Well, good evening. It's a pleasure to be with you, Megan. And when you look at the fact that this is in Chicago, it is right there in the backyard of Barack Obama. Hillary Clinton is from Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, David Axelrod, David Plouffe, Louis Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson Sr. And you don't have the normal ability to talk about where gun control could play a part because Chicago has some of the most stringent gun control laws there. And furthermore, it's happening in the inner city, in the black community, in the black neighborhoods. And I don't think that it is very important to the liberal progressives of the Democrat Party to solve this problem in the inner city, that it's not just isolated to Chicago, it's also Detroit, it's Philadelphia, my hometown in Atlanta, it's all of these inner cities where these policies are failing. So if this was something that was happening in a combat zone over a weekend, you would have it plastered all over the front pages of papers. But now, of course, it doesn't fit into that agenda. You're not hearing anything about it. And what is also interesting, you hear about these illegal immigrants that are escaping the violence and the deplorable situations in Central America. You have a lot of that happening right here in our own America, and there's no concern.
That's an interesting point. I mean, everybody's pointing to this terrible violence that we're seeing down in Central America. It's like, what about Chicago? How do you flee Chicago? And in the meantime, you talk about gun violence. Rahm Emanuel has come out in the gun laws. Rahm Emanuel, the city's mayor, has come out and once again talked about guns, saying, where are the gun laws? Where are the national leaders so that we don't have the guns of Cook County, Indiana, and downstate Illinois flowing into this city?
Well, I think that Rahm Emanuel is not paying attention to the fact it's the gang violence, and it's the failure of those policies in the inner city. When you have a black unemployment rate that is probably closer to 15 to 16% real unemployment rate, black teenage unemployment rate at 40%, you're seeing young people that don't have anything to do, and so they're turning to gangs and gang violence. And furthermore, when you have the deplorable situation of schools in the inner cities and the teachers unions that are really in control, you had a little bit of a fuss up there in New York City with Bill de Blasio wanting to shut down the charter schools there in Harlem. These are the type of policies that are adversely affecting the black community that the left does not want to talk about. As a matter of fact,
but do you think that there's just a sense of resignation because it's gang on gang violence? People feel powerless to stop it. There's not big outrage or shock because we're used to gang members killing other gang members.
Well, look, I'm a product of an inner city in Atlanta, Georgia. As a matter of fact, it's the same neighborhood that Dr. King grew up in. And when you have the breakdown of the black family to the point where only 28% of black children have mothers and fathers in the home because Lyndon Johnson decided to give checks out to young women who are having children out of wedlock, and they will continue to get those checks as long as they kept a man out of the home, we see an incredible cacophony of liberal progressive policies that has destroyed the inner city and created a prime situation whereby the gangs can rise up. So we don't see that focus. And if this were happening in my hometown and I was president, it would be a focus for me. And I don't understand why it's not a focus for President Obama.
Colonel Allen West, thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Well, there is a murder mystery getting national attention tonight after a Google executive is found dead. And this would-be model